magic click. Thank you. So first of all, we'd like to introduce Camille that we spoke from. She's from Prince Edward Island with OK Right Technologies, Inc. She's a CEO, and they are a new member to the Women Mean Business organization. They joined us in the fall. And I thought it was an important opportunity for Camille to introduce herself and their services. They are a content marketing agency powered by women for women, and I don't want to steal her storm. So Camille, please, by all means, take the floor and introduce yourself.
No, that was a wonderful introduction. Thank you, Gabby and Josie and Shari as well. I'm excited for this talk. Just like Gabby mentioned, my name is Camille and I run OK Right. So we're a content marketing agency, which means we mainly specialize in high quality written content. So we pretty much, our biggest product is online blogs, but we also do email marketing campaigns, social media management, website and landing page, and so many other things. So if you're trying to market yourself online, content marketing is what you're doing. As a small business run by women, and our core team is all women. We really pride ourselves on connecting with our clients and making sure that we ask you in-depth questions about what you want when it comes to marketing. We're very committed to our high quality content. That's super important, but we're also really approachable and really flexible. And like I said, we're a small team, so we get it. And we want to help offload some of that marketing stress for you. So one of the packages that we've developed is actually special for Kingston local businesses. So right now in the agency, marketing agency world, they'll kind of keep upselling you, right? Blogs and marketing and social media. But we know that as a small business, it's kind of hard to do all that on your own and scale it. So we developed a package that does full content strategy. We look at your website, if you have one, to develop it and come up with things for SEO. We write your blogs, and we can even post it and put it out to social media for you. So that's just one of our special packages that I wanted to tell you guys about. But in general, if you had any questions about content marketing, feel free to contact me. I'm going to put my information in the chat below. So thank you once again for having me on.
Thank you, Camille. Thank you so much. It's such a great service that you offer, and I think it's needed as business owners. So we appreciate that you're there for us. Thank you.
No problem.
All right, so let's Josie, I think you're going to introduce Shari for us.
Yes, I'm going to introduce our amazing speaker, and it truly is my pleasure, as well as Gabby. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about Shari. Shari Hughson is an entrepreneur, educator, social innovator, and extreme adventurer. We're going to hear more about that, I hope. She started her first business in her 20s and won the CIBC Entrepreneur of the Year before the age of 30. Shari recently won Canada's top 50 most influential business and entrepreneur female leaders of the year in 2021 by SME Canada. She has owned six health companies and 4 e-commerce sites, and today is a founder and fractional CIO and COO, and she's an adjunct lecturer at Queen's University. I don't know where she finds the time. I got to learn more from her. Shari has also won a national honor from the First Nations Health Authority for a project that impacted the mental health of a remote community in 2013. So you will find Shari to be a very engaging educator, public speaker, and advisor on topics of innovation, entrepreneurship, social impact, business well-being, and also courageous leadership. So it is truly our pleasure. Shari Hughson, take it away.
Thank you, Josie. And thank you to both Josie and Gabby for basically launching some speaking career. I don't really have a speaking career, but I do speak a fair bit now. And my very first presentation ever in front of an audience was for Women Mean Business in 2016, we think it is. Might have been 2017, somewhere in there, down at the Holiday Inn in Kingston. And that was the very first time I'd spoken publicly. So thank you so much for that. And it helped me find my legs, my message, and so much of what I teach about today. So thank you on that. I'm going to share my screen. All right, everybody should be able to see that now, and we'll get started. So this topic, most of you are already doing so much of this already. So I know many of you, and I've seen many of your stories as well. So I'm hoping that this is just a kickoff to the new year to inspire people and get you motivated to get stepping out from your comfort zones. And so the topic that Gabby and Josie asked me to talk on was really being comfortable, uncomfortable. And that is what we're going to talk about. You've heard all the great things about my life in my bio, many negative or tragic things or difficult experiences that I've also had as well. But I've never stopped pushing limits and doing new and different things that others may not choose to go do. So I've heard throughout my whole life, you know, you must be crazy to go do that. Well, that's a really stupid thing to go do. That's not the smartest thing. Why are you doing this? Don't go do that. When are you going to come back and do what normal people do? So lots of questions from the time I was quite young. And I didn't realize what I had been doing was doing things that others weren't choosing to do, and constantly stepping into the uncomfortable. And reflecting back as I started to teach made me realize there was something unique that I was doing. I'm not sure why or how, or it just happened. It was naturally being done. And many people will say, boy, I wish I could have your life, or I want your life, or boy, are you ever lucky? And I'm sure lots of you hear that as well. And as we all know, it isn't that. It isn't that we're lucky. It isn't that we've done anything. We've done many unique things. We just haven't done anything that they can't do as well. So it is all a decision to be uncomfortable and move forward. So that's our topic today. Please link in with me on LinkedIn, and there's my email as well. So the question to kick everyone off is, where are you at? What dreams have you not gone and done? What needs have you not filled yet? What wants do you have that you also haven't gone and chased? Do you have some goals you've never chased? What experiences are you missing in your life or wanting in your life? And so I have spent my life doing these things, and they have led me down an amazing path that ended up revealing and teaching me things that I never thought I would learn before. All of you have already done this. You're already entrepreneurs. You're already doing amazing, incredible things in your own lives. But there are many things that are still on that list, I'm sure. So every year, I do think about, what haven't I gone and done on that dream of life, of new experiences? And I go out there and do them. So that is what I'm hoping. So I'm wanting everyone right now, before we move on, take a piece of paper, write down, is there any goals? Are there any dreams or experiences that you haven't gone and done yet? Or thoughts that keep coming back to you about something that you haven't moved forward on yet? What are those? All right. If you want to share any also in the chat, feel free to put them there as well. I've got some as well, and I'm also digging deep because I've done so many experiences in sports and travel. I'm now digging deep on those sides. How do I create even more interesting experiences on that in that area? So everything we do and everything I've done has come down to questions, wants, needs, my thoughts about them, and a decision about them. And so, for example, my decision to leave CBI Health, which was my most successful company, the decision to leave that company in my, I think I was early 40s, the decision to leave that company was probably the most spectacular go from this to go to that. So that company was a national company. We had 12,000 employees. We were booming. I was living high life, 5-star everything. I was in hotels 20 nights a month. So that's a downside of that. And we were booming. We were living the American dream, if you want to call it that. And I decided to sell my shares and walk away from everything and move to the bush. So many of you have heard that story of me walking away and going to the bush. We lived 7 years, very, very remote in the wilderness of British Columbia. We lived as hunter-gatherers. If you want all that whole story, there is a TED Talk about that, TEDx talk, and lived this amazing journey in the wilderness. So many people thought I was absolutely bonkers to be doing such an amazing, weird thing. Today, everyone is saying, oh my God, what an incredible experience. I wish I could have gone and done that. And it all came down to decisions about when to do something. When do you go chase a dream? When is enough enough? When do you have enough money? When have you had enough work experiences? When is enough enough? And a lot of people also do, if I reach X, I'll be able to go do Y. My experience is I never reach whatever X is. As you go down your path, X keeps getting further, you expand X. You keep going, oh my God, so now I want to be this company to go to 1 million, or I want this company to have 50 employees, or I want this company to be in 2 different countries, or I want to, so you keep expanding X. And the when is enough enough, your life expands to fill your resources. So if you make more money, you actually won't typically have a lot more money. You tend to expand both your goal on what you're already working on, what you already know, and you tend to expand your lifestyle. And so that is often why people get stuck and not move on. And my decision making is always down to what do I want to do next and why is that important? And time plays a big part in this. As you get older, I had to recognize at this point in time for CBI, I was going to need a fair bit of physical strength and endurance to go live what we had wanted to live, like our ancestors off the land. And so it couldn't wait that much longer. And so there was a recognition of reality. And there was also a, if I don't go now, will it actually happen in the future? Probably not. So that timing of when you do things and why you're doing something is really important. And then you just have to figure out, how do I start? How do I start? And the starting is that decision point. It's that point that you've got to make a decision that I am going to do this. So my decisions are always based on worst case scenario. That's how I've always made my decisions. So I consider what I do and what I've done in life is all this life venture, is what I call it. I'm a life venture. It's on to the next life experience that is timing important, and decision time, money important. You always have to consider the financial situation that you're in and always make sure that that's taken care of. And I have been a millionaire and bankrupt twice, both up, both down, twice. And that those experiences have shown me that it doesn't matter whether I was way up here financially or way down here financially. me psychologically in behind, the little voices in our head, don't actually change. So if you've got an insecurity about your weight, or you've got an insecurity about money, or you've got an insecurity about anything, and all of us do, and there's little voices in there talking away, they didn't change. They didn't change when I was here or here. As I got older, I learned to manage them better. And actually, when I was way up here, imposter syndrome, it gets worse, way worse. When you're low, when things have fallen apart and worst case scenario has actually come true, when you're way down there, imposter syndrome isn't really the bad thing. It's that kicking yourself that you're a failure and then picking yourself back up again. And so that still goes on no matter what you're doing, even in the bush, completely isolated from other people. Who am I thinking I'm an imposter in front of? There's nobody around. So I've experienced so many things that I know that what happens in our heads stay there. We manage them better, and we learn and grow to manage them better by living experiences. And so all the life experiences and life ventures that I've gone on have been worst case scenario happen, or not so good a scenario happen, or a good thing happens. More often than not, a good thing always happened. I can say almost 100% a good thing came, even if there was some big bad ones as well. And that to me is so invaluable. That's what I crave in life. I crave this. If I go do X, what new, good, cool, learning, interesting thing am I going to get? And I can't even predict them. I couldn't predict, by going and living in the bush, that we were going to meet a very remote Indigenous community that would embrace me coming and helping create such an amazing social impact project. Not even in the realm of something that I would go do. And it was just by going and doing. So how do you increase your risk tolerance to just go for these things that you've got on your list? So many of you have been pretty good at getting out of your ruts and have done things already. But what you really need to think about is, how do I keep the muscle in my brain really active at managing and being okay, being uncomfortable? So these are all the things that you can do. You've got to go do new things, different things, uncomfortable things, do things that other people say don't do what you fear, experience from another's viewpoint. That was the most amazing thing I've ever done, was living a couple of months on the streets of Toronto with zero money. Now, it's not exactly what they would have experienced, a homeless person would experience, because I can always walk away. But it is still a close enough experience, the closest I can get to experiencing what it is like to live that life. There, you are afraid, you are alone, you are cold, you are hungry, you are worried, and at the same time, you make friends, and you understand their society and how they work and their system of functioning. And you learn all these amazing things about, they actually have a culture and a way that they get by, and an amazing caring attitude towards each other. And that teaches me so many things. Do the opposite of what you would normally do. Say yes more often and challenge yourself. And increasing your tolerance to small risks will increase your ability to do and step into all these other dreams, needs, or wants that you added on your list. And so I live a practice of this, and I want to just ask you, how deep is your ruts? Are your ruts? And most people say, especially entrepreneurs, will say, "Oh, I don't have one." But I want to ask you some questions. And you don't have to answer them, but think about them. How often do you drive the same way to your workplace? If you're not driving to a workplace, how often do you drive the same way to the grocery store? How many times do you go to a brand new grocery store? Do you read the same types of books? Might be 2 types of books, but the same types of books, and you never go over there in those fantasy books or those biographies or whatever it is. How often does your day pattern follow the same pattern? And there's certain patterns I hold sacred. Sleep. Sleep is the only one I hold sacred, and that is, in my view, the secret to why I have so much energy. It is sacred to me. So that one I hold dear, and I am always 8 hours or more. I had 9.5 last night. And so that is really important. And if you don't have great sleep habits, I strongly recommend finding some great sleep habits. And Camille, I see a question. I've got a question. I've done a lot of things successfully, but there's one that I have been holding myself back from. I'm afraid that when I make the jump, I will fail. This one is more important to me than any other things I've done. What's my next step? That's a great, great question. So it is confronting, what are you afraid of? There is something you are afraid of in all of this. In this one thing. So how you desensitize to a fear is you start taking small steps towards it. And I actually have a recommendation coming shortly. And it is to start telling that story. Speak that story first to yourself. Whatever it is, I am going to go do blah, blah, blah. How does it feel saying it out loud? How does it feel? Are you, the word's not quite right? Are you not explaining it quite right, even to yourself? Then start with somebody who's trustworthy. Then you start saying it beyond that. Then you've got to say it to some strangers. And then the more it gets out in the world, the more you are trapped. That's our psychology again. We'll kick in a bit that now I'm afraid if I don't go do it, and the fear switches. And now my fear is pushing me, I've got to go do this. I told so many people I was going to go live off the land, I had to go live off the land. Or they were going to be like, weren't you going to go do that? To me was more embarrassing than giving up absolutely everything and walking away from the world. Going and doing something completely bizarre. Hopefully that helped. So when I look at my life, I look at what have I done every week that is different and new. And my husband and I always do something different or new every week. Every single week. Sometimes I'll try to do something every day. So depending on what my day is, it might be just that I'm just driving a different direction. Or I go on a little tour on my way home through something to go see some Christmas lights. Or so it's small, but it is something to get you out of that rut. And then we do something big once a week, and then we do something really big every year, which keeps us really active and our brains really able to be okay that I'm uncomfortable for a little while. And that's how I've actually lived my whole life, is figuring out what else can I do that is going to make my stomach just do a bit of a, I don't want to go do that. I'll stand in an elevator backwards. I'll sing or dance somewhere that is sort of not appropriate. I will hoot and holler when others aren't. And your stomach does a little, and then you've done it, and then it's funny. And it's over. So keep this muscle active. That is my biggest message for everyone. And I'm going to get us to do one right now. So please turn your cameras on. If you can. If you're somewhere you can't, you can't. This will be harder for those that are not private where they are. But right now, with your camera on, we are going to do some dancing, even without music. So there's no rhythm to it or anything, but I want to see some people dancing. So 1, 2, 3, craziest dances you can do. Go crazy. Excellent. Excellent. Woo. I saw some good ones there. Even by yourself, you tend to feel a little embarrassed. Even if you didn't have your video on. It's like, oh, you're embarrassed if you didn't do it. You're embarrassed if you did do it. And that's what I mean about you are always you. You're always still with you. If that's something that doesn't bother you at all, then you've got to step up your game. And that's what I do, is I move that desensitizing. So if I'm doing something that is small at first, and now I'm comfortable with it, I've got to move up. I've got to move that up a bit. So if dancing in public is no longer scary to me, I've got to go and dance on a stage somewhere or jump up on a table somewhere and dance. So you build your risk tolerance, your uncomfortable tolerance higher, and you will be a more resilient individual and more confident, and you actually will have experiences that is doing this to your brain. This is all neuroplasticity for any of those. I'm sure lots of you have studied neuroplasticity or read about it. Neuroplasticity is what happens when you do that list of things I said. Thanks. Hang on. There's just a couple of comments I saw. Just going back here. Fear is deep. Absolutely, Michelle, especially when you step out of society's norms. Yeah. And as an entrepreneur, you already are. Think of the percentage of people who actually become an entrepreneur. Lots talk about it. The percent who actually do it is minimal. 91% of the people say they want to write a book. 3% actually write it, and less than 1% publish it. When you go to a conference, you get all excited. Even this, you'll get all excited. Ooh, that's awesome. I'm going to go do that. And when they actually do the stats on who actually follows through on the things that they've learned, the stats are very, very small. And so the act of pushing yourself into fear on a regular basis actually will allow you to go and do some of these things that most people wouldn't go do. So you build up your fear tolerance is what I would call it. And Elizabeth, thanks for talking. Oh, look, thank you so much. And so the neuroplasticity in our brain is what's really happening when, and I'm just going to back up to go back to, oop, wrong way. Go backwards. Previous. I should not have maybe done previous. Previous. Take a screenshot, take a picture, whatever helps. This is what you've got to bring into your life very regularly in order to go do and increase your tolerance. One of the things I also work in, I have a mental health startup right now, and I've done a number of things in the mental health space, but one of the things that they absolutely have proven, anxiety has risen 25% due to COVID. By the time we're 40, one out of every 2 of us we all have struggled with a mental health issue at some point in our life by the age of 40. The other thing anxiety has increased in COVID, but the biggest thing that the mental health therapy and psychologists are reporting is this huge decrease in our window of tolerance, it's called. And the window of tolerance is when we can only take one more thing before we snap and are angry. We can only take one more thing before we're irritable, one more thing before we close down or shut down or just go and hide in our room, or stop talking or ignore, or and so that window of tolerance, our resiliency as a society has reduced. And so we've got to find that again. And to me, these are the things that have kept me very resilient. Because as things have not gone exactly the way I wanted, when things have been really difficult with in my family life, when things have not been as I had hoped they would be, I have been able to manage that in a healthy way. And that is all we can do. And that is our goal in life. And I know that this is what has kept me really healthy. And so you've all done this. You're in this group because you've all done it. Even to step out into a networking group, oh my goodness, scary. You're in here now, not scary at all. You got to step it up on your networking now. We all know it. We've all experienced it. You can tell me just as many stories as I can tell you of things that you've stepped out of your comfort zone. And I know Josie and Gabby, you guys are doing it all the time. And great things have come of it. So look at your list, look at what's holding you back. If it's fear, start desensitizing on that fear. Desensitize your whole life by being uncomfortable lots. Find things to be uncomfortable. And that start telling your new story now. Whatever's on that dream list, start talking it now. It doesn't mean you have to go do it in 6 months or a year. I probably started talking that big one 5 years before I left. And then I'd said it too many times. And if you need accountability, you need to join an accountability group. I'm actually setting some up. I've put it out there. That's the next stage of my world. I'm starting accountability forums, life venture forums, small groups, small closed groups of moving people actively towards what they're doing. Find a coach, find a friend, find someone to help hold you accountable, and start talking your story, and you will make it happen. Thank you so much. Michelle's question, as a child or teenager, did I know? So, and people who knew me as a child and teenager and a university student would have went, this nerdy, shyest person in the whole world who actually got taken to a therapist in grade 6 because there was something wrong with me socially. I was just this studying nerd. I had no friends. I did nothing. Not athletic. I come from a long line of genetically not athletic people, and I have competed on the world stage as a competitive adventure racer on sheer willpower. There's no muscle there. I've ultra marathoned again. It just sheer like it's and it switched for me with a traumatic event of a mother who mentally ill her whole life while I was in university. And as a teenage girl, I'm like, I'm never going to be like my mother, which we all do. But in university, she ended up in the psychiatric hospital and having shock therapy, and was in there for over 3 years. And that said to me, I can never become mentally unwell. And I spend a lifetime of being healthy. And yeah, there's times I'm really down. There's times I'm angry. There's time, like all those same emotions are still there, but I fight every day to go towards living this life that I can go, here's another amazing story, even for myself. So thank you for asking.
Shari, thank you. I think we should give her a round of applause if we can. Shari, you speak, what you say, your words are so powerful, and what a wonderful way to kick off the year for us and for Women in Business and all our partners in our community. I can't thank you enough. So many things you said. One of the words that someone told me almost now 12 years ago, the word fear, false evidence appearing real. And that is so true. And you're absolutely correct. I mean, when I opened my own company in 1998, it was a aha moment for me. It was a big moment because I got out of that corporate world, the paychecks, the benefits. Not everyone's an entrepreneur, but I had to do this. And I'm so glad that I didn't allow that word fear to hold you back, because it's about being present about who you are, your self-awareness, and moving forward that. And, you know, and as you said, keeping that muscle active and not being afraid, because it's so rewarding and it's a full life. And so everything that you shared this morning, I'm right with you, and thank you. And I hope it's been beneficial to everyone that's been listening this morning. Any more questions that have come through that you see there?
Yeah,
Shari?
Catherine, you asked a great question. Catherine, I mentioned sleep. Sleep is one of my things, but the other big thing that has always been sacred to me, but it is something different all the time, is movement. I used to always say exercise. It's movement every day, and movement is always solitaire. And it's almost a meditative time for me. And I always have, right before sleep, a 30-minute meditation. And so I do, those things are always in my world, and are part of that yin and yang, right? So the go do something fearful always needs to be bounced off with that calm.
I totally agree. I know the worst thing one can be is get on a news channel on your social media and look at negative news, and then you try to fall asleep. The worst thing you can do. The worst thing. Yeah. So it's taking control and taking in control of your own emotions and knowing and being present about it, right? So,
Yeah.
So listen, we always like to have little surprises, and we do have a little surprise. Coco Fruity, which is that beautiful restaurant that serves delicious breakfasts and everything. Josie and I met the owner of the restaurant back just before Christmas, and they have kindly donated a $25 gift card. So we had a little, at the beginning when we were launching this wonderful presentation, we said the first 20 people that registered, and I kept the name and the number with every person. So Shari, would you be so kind as to pick a number of 1 to 20? And then we'll find out who the winner is.
11.
Okay, her name is Heidi Whip from Home Staging. I will follow up with her and we'll take care of that to make sure she gets it. Thank you so much again for your time and energy and that you presented. And Josie,
before we finish, there was actually 2 more questions, I think, Shari. One was from Camille in the chat room, and the other one is from Catherine. If you have time, maybe to just touch upon them.
I think
Do you see it?
was answered. Did we just answer Catherine's one? Or?
Yes,
Okay.
it did.
Yeah, we already answered that. Yeah.
Thank you.
And Michelle, how about your question? I don't see it, so
Yeah, it was answered.
I think it was answered as well.
Okay. And Camille's, yours was too, right?
Yes, I think hers was as well.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
So any further announcements? We do have plans in play for the spring, and if you, as I said in my chat comment, if you haven't registered to receive our monthly newsletter, which is always informative and resourceful, and it talks about events not only for women in business, but other events as well in the city, please do subscribe and you'll be informed as we move forward. And we do have some plans, but they're not confirmed yet, so we will keep you advised and posted. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. Josie, any words to end this presentation?
Shari, thank you so much. I mean, as always, you're very inspiring, and you know what? It's nice to hear that you are a nerdy, shy girl, because it gives hope to everybody. That means we can all do this.
And just to let you know, I love dancing. And what I do in the evenings is I put on music, but I do close the blinds and no one thinks I'm an idiot dancing away. I used to be in a dance troupe, so I love music.
Open
and
those
dancing.
blinds.
Yeah,
Open
I'll
the
open.
blinds.
That is what I'm going to do.
It's as simple as that.
Absolutely. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. Have a wonderful day and remaining week, and we'll be talking again. Thank you, Shari. All the best to you. Bye-bye.
Thank